All right, what's going on, guys? So back with another Sunday watch list. As far as setups, I do have a few things on watch. October historically has been a bullish month compared to September usually being a bearish month. I have I'm gonna show you guys what my analysis is for the week and for the month. Overall, as far as economic data, we have Jerome Powell speaking at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. So just be aware of that. I believe we have some other Fed speakers in the middle of the week as well. So definitely just keep that in mind, right? So let's get right into it. Let's start off with SPY. So with the SPY chart, I had these trend lines drawn out, right? I had one connecting from here to here to here, 3 touches on it. We broke above it, failed to hold above it. And notice how we also had this trend line right here that's kind of holding us on this downtrend right here. We have 1 touch here, 2 touches here. Friday, we came and tried to reclaim it and did not reclaim it, right? So the levels of importance to pay attention to is going to be this 432 to 431. And I'll show you guys why on the 4-hour chart. Look how respected this level is as a supply. When we're above it, look how it holds it as demand. Below it, supply. And if I were to drag this all the way down over here, just continue to look at how this level gets respected, huge rejection back over here as well, right? So this whole area from 431 to 432 is a huge level to pay attention to for this week. Now, we failed to completely close and hold above that trend line. So this downtrend can definitely still be in play. The daily 9 EMA got rejected there as well. As far as levels to the downside, I am not interested in going short unless we break below this 425. As you guys can see, 425 held really well here, and all right here. So if we were to break 425, I believe we have some touches back here as well. But if we were to break below this 425, I will be looking for a break and retest for a pushback down into 423. Below 423, break and retest for a move down into 420, 419. I'd definitely be careful around that 420, 419 because that is the daily 200 simple moving average. So that is an area to pay attention to for a potential relief bounce. Now, for the upside, guys, if we're able to reclaim 432, I believe we are going to go on a strong run, at least back up to this gap fill, right? We have room above 432, a reclaim of 432 gives us a room to 434, 435, and 436. Above 436, where the gap fill starts, that's also the daily 21. You got to be mindful of that, but it should give us room back to the top of the gap fill at 438. Now, as of right now, we have to make sure to reclaim that 432 level before even saying that, right? So let's get into the QQ chart. QQ, very similar, right? We broke this downtrend that we had right here. We had 1 touch, 2 touches, 3 touches, and we broke. As of right now, we're holding above it. Now I drew this lower trend line 1, 2. I want to see if we hold that area. As far as if I go to the daily chart, you guys will see we tried filling that gap fill and it did not fill all the way. And if I go to the 4-hour time frame, I want you guys to keep in mind this level right here. Notice how I'll go to the 4-hour time frame so you guys can see it more clearly. This level right here, this 357.5, resistance, resistance, support, support. Hold that support over here as well. Friday came down to that level and we tried holding it at support as well, right? So if we get back below that level, it'll probably give us room back down into this 355. As far as me going short, I am not too interested in going short unless we get back below this 353, which is a long way down, right? It's a long way down, but below that 353 should give us room down to 351. And then below 351, that's where we have nothing but room down into these levels down here. I'm sure 350 will act as a level of support, psychological level, but below that is literally nothing but room down to here. I don't want to be too biased or anything, but if we are able to, get that reclaim of 432 on SPY, I'm expecting some upside. Above this 363 area should get us that fill to the gap fill. So with QQQ is just more so being a little bit patient with it, right? We want to get above some of these levels, see how this reacts at these levels as well. I like the SPY a little bit better since it is more clearly as far as what we could do in this supply zone, right? We could take a reject off of 432 if it gets here and it starts to slow down, or if it reclaims, we could take a break and retest. So that is a very, very clean play that I have for SPY. As far as Apple, this 170 level is a demand from back here. Notice how we hold 170 really well. As of right now, we are above it. If we start to base out in here, Apple can start to head back up into this next area of 173, 174. Notice how Apple also has a trend line. We have one touch, two touches. And if we can reclaim that level, Apple should start taking off above this area of 173, 174, back up into 175, 177, right? So those are the next areas for Apple. Looks really good. If Apple fails to hold 170, it'll probably get us a push down to 167 and really room back down to these levels. So like I said, we are starting to approach, we're breaking. Keep in mind, right? If Apple breaks this trend line, that's going to be bullish for SPY and QQ as well. Notice how Amazon broke this trend line as well of this downtrend. So if these downtrends are starting to come to an end, I don't want to be too overly bearish on SPY and QQ because the risk to reward to the downside isn't as great as it could be to the upside because, right, if it breaks 425 and it gets its room down to 420, it's a good move, don't get me wrong. But, if there's much more room to the upside if we can reclaim these levels. We'll go back to Amazon. Right, Amazon is holding above this demand here, 126, 127. Broke that trend back to the upside. We want to see if this continues to hold. So if Amazon holds this 126, 127, then we can get a push back up into 128, 129. Above this 128, 129, Amazon has nothing but room back up into 132. So that could be a really, really good move. Notice how this is also a zone right here of demand now acting as supply. So we're in a range here. Wouldn't be interesting in shorts until it gets below 124. So as far as Amazon, I'm looking at this for an upside play. Notice how even Microsoft has broken out of this falling wedge, right? So this is why I don't want to be too bearish because a lot of these individual tickers are breaking their downtrend. So Microsoft was in this range from 314 to 310. We finally broke above it. Now we're starting to hold above it. And if this 314 can hold, this is going to be a great bounce area, 314, 315, for a push back up into Friday's high and then back up into these 322s and so on, right? This literally has a lot of room back to the upside if these levels can hold. Now, a good trade for Microsoft as well will be a break and retest of that 314.5 for a push back down into 310, right? So that is a good either or setup on Microsoft. As far as NVIDIA, we also broke this downtrend, right? And we're starting to get higher lows, right? So if this NVIDIA can get above 440, it gives us room back up into 448, right? As far as the downside, probably back below 420, I'd be interested. AMD looks like if we can start getting above that upper trend line, that's going to give us some breathing room back into the 110s, right? 110s, 112s. I'll probably be watching a hold of that 100 demand zone. So definitely keep an eye on that. If 100 demand zone holds, that's going to be a great dip buy for AMD. Not so interested in Meta. It's been pretty sideways. Google's the only one that does look a little bit bearish and is not holding like a uptrend. So Tesla, not really liking the analysis on it just yet, but we have to see what happens if it holds this 242 to 244 area. If it can hold that, probably get us a push back up into these 260s above Friday's high. Above that 260, that's when Tesla can start heading a little bit higher, right? So definitely keep an eye on that. That's pretty much all I have on my watch list. It's gonna be a very patient week for me since we do have a lot of economic or a lot of Fed speakers this week, right? So that can change this whole momentum of everything. Last week was a really good week for me. So as far as coming into this week, just protecting gains, see what kind of month we're gonna get in October. And that's pretty much gonna cover the Sunday watches. So I hope you guys have a great trading week and trade safe.